Hi, my name is Kristen and I would like to talk to you about my classroom observations. I observed in Bald Knob Middle School, and that's in Bald Knob, Arkansas. The reason I did so is because I really want to be a middle school teacher, and also because I live around Bald Knob, and because the classroom sizes were so much smaller than other schools in the area, and less intimidating for my first time observing. Bald Knob Middle School has about 286 students, and that is ranging from the 6th through the 8th grade. Now, although these classroom sizes are so small and so personable, the grade average for the school on their report card is a D, 63.34 to be exact, although the state average is a 70.16, and that's a lot lower than the average. Also, the school in all ethnic categories, they are below average in their grades as well. For example, Hispanic Latino students, they make a 64.43, although the state average is a 69.54. The white students in the school, they are making a 62.92 percent grade average, although the state grade average is a 73.92. And that goes on to low income students, and they're making a 59.52, although the state average is a 66.67. And special education students, they're making a 46.87, although the state average is a 52.43. Now, that's all very low, and the school is working on their literacy, trying to get those grade averages up. Now, the teachers' experience, the average years is a 3.83, and that's about 4 years, like a little bit less than 4 years of teaching experience, and that may contribute to why the grade average is so low. The teacher that I observed, Miss M, she taught 8th grade English, 6th grade reading skills, and 7th grade reading skills. She only said that she had a couple of years of experience teaching, and she never really told me any specific amount of years. So I figure that she's within that average amount for all teachers. The seating arrangements in the classroom are kind of squished together due to the size of the classroom. The students are in groups of 4 at 6 tables, and they are facing each other. Instead of like facing the smart board or facing the teacher, they're facing each other. And that kind of puts them in a little bubble. Also, Miss M even pointed out that the students are having a hard time writing down notes or watching videos because they're having to strain their heads to the side. And Miss M wishes that she could do something about that, but due to the size of her classroom being so small, there's nothing she can do. The classroom management is nice because Miss M is so gentle. She is personable with her students, although she is very serious. She gets down to their level. She bends down so they can be face to face. And she'll talk in a whisper, a low whisper, that way other students can't hear her. And that's with talking to them about anything. If they have a question, if she's getting on to them, and sometimes she's having to wake students up. And she always does it in a very paternal kind of way. Although she does this most of the time, there are times that she hasn't done this. For example, there's a girl, she likes to doodle and on her notes, on her assignments, everything. And Ms. M has pointed that out and also said hey, we don't write notes or we don't write doodles on our notes, so and so. And that is putting that student in the light and also saying this student is being bad in front of their classroom mates. And that's kind of isolating and embarrassing. And I feel that Miss M could have done something different there. But also, there's a time where Miss M stopped a physical altercation with two boys and let them know that physical violence was not the answer. And I never saw the boys do anything like that ever again. I asked Miss M what the hardest class period was, and she told me first period because it's right in the morning and the students are first waking up, but also because the school has implemented a second breakfast right after first period. The reason that is because a lot of students can't make it in on time to eat because their classes start at 7:50, and most students are being dropped off around that time. Also, this is so hard on the teachers in particular because the students are counting the minutes to leave the classroom. They're not really paying attention, they're just going through the motions. They're resisting learning. And that's just due to them being hungry and ready to eat that second breakfast that the school is going to provide. Although this is a great thing for the school, it is kind of a little bit of a struggle for the teachers. Her teaching methods are very standard. She does not use a textbook, but she does use the internet and she prints off her literature from the internet. And she also has pre made notes made on presentations that she shows on her smartboard. And that's a very college style of teaching, I think, because she is treating them as miniature adults and preparing them for high school in a way by lecturing to them while they are taking notes so that way they can learn multitasking. And that's usually how college and high school teachers do it. Now, she doesn't do very many activities. She has only ever done an activity for her skills, for her skills students, which is Jeopardy, and that's after they have read a chapter in a book and they are taking a quiz over it. They get to ask questions in the form of Jeopardy, and that's a lot of fun to be around. And the students really enjoy that. And I feel if she would was to implement Jeopardy into her regular eighth grade English class, the students would be more excited to be there. But she usually just reads to them, reads the literature aloud. She'll then read with the students, and they will take turns reading aloud to the class. But then they'll get into their groups and they'll read to one another. And I'm not sure that I classify that as an activity. It's more just regular work, them learning how to read and how to like communicate to one another. Also, her tests are online on Chromebooks. All classrooms have a little Chromebook cart, and they are little laptops that the students are provided. All students are assigned one. So Miss M, she would she would make her tests online, have the students go online and take the multiple choice or the true false test, and the computer would grade that for Miss M. And that is something that is really interesting to me because it happened so fast, and she had the grades before the class even ended. And I think that's really convenient. The classroom climate and environment is kind of a mixed bag because sometimes Miss M would have a very bright and sunny aspect, but then sometimes she would not, and she'd be very serious. Miss M wasn't a smiler, so the classroom seemed very serious a lot of the time. There was only a few times where it didn't seem like that. Although the classroom was really inviting and well decorated, also very organized and clean. For example, Miss M, she had lanterns hanging from the ceiling, and they were really pretty and cute. She also had inspirational quotes all over the walls, and there were also biblical quotes, which should resonate with some of the students, but the students were not excited to be there either. When Miss M might be excited, the students weren't. If the students were, Miss M wasn't. So it was always kind of like a constant struggle between the two. Also, the classroom was divided between popular students and unpopular students. There were students that had things like nice backpacks and nice shoes, and there were students that would wear the same sweatshirt every day. And this did cause a rift. There were students that blatantly told me in front of the classroom that that one girl is really weird, even though she was sitting right there. And Miss M never said anything about it, although she heard that student. Instead of telling her, hey, you shouldn't talk bad about your other fellow classmates. Um, it it was just really odd that Miss M kind of ignored the fact that her students were divided. And the students would retaliate against each other during class. For example, if one student had an opinion about what Miss M was talking about and another student opposed that opinion, there was a struggle between those two students that was displayed for the class to see, and Miss M would not say anything about it. Also, students were resisting learning. They were passively resisting learning most of the time because most of them were just going through the motions. They were just ready for the day to end, counting the minutes, constantly looking at the clock. And for most students, being so passively resisting learning, it's hard to not notice. It's hard to not notice that students are just staring at their binders, not writing anything down. But Miss M, she just would try to talk to these students, and she would encourage note taking and encourage studying. It's just the students were taking it in stride. Also, there were students that actively resisted. There was a particular student that every single day he had to be told to sit down because he could not stay in his seat. And also, there were students that would blatantly not turn in work, although Miss M would talk to them once a week about, you have all these assignments due and ready to be turned in, but they're not here. And that student would just tell her that school wasn't worth it. There were several students that said that you don't need schooling to work on a pipeline because several of their dads are working on pipelines and that's who they aspire to be. And then there are students that don't have a very good home life and they don't have a very good environment to do homework at. There is a student that told the entire classroom that she was beat almost to death. And she told the entire classroom. And it was sad. And I looked at Miss M and I talked to her about it after. She told me that she knew the little girl personally and that she did have a very hard home life and that's why she sometimes doesn't turn in her work. And I feel that a lot of these kids are in that situation where their parents are not taking responsibility in helping and their children learn in their education and their futures. Those parents are just not worried about that. That's why some of those students are not uh, wanting to learn. But I would say that the overall teaching style of Miss M was a traditional. She just went by what she had prepared and did not stray from that path. In conclusion, I think that there are several things that I think are glow factors about Miss M. Her gentle, serious, personable ways of talking to her students and making them feel like they are in control. I think that is something I would really want to contribute to my teaching career. And I would want that to be something I'm known for, that my students could talk to me and that my students could um, be able to know that I'm not going to embarrass them in front of their fellow students. It's just something you don't do. Also, I think that Miss M is very technologically inclined. She knows how to use her smart board very well. If anything was to glitch, she knew immediately how to fix it. She always had her tests online and they were graded so quickly, and she was able to put those into her grade book that day. And I think that is just very efficient for a teacher to do. That's something that I would want to be able to do. But there are some growth things that I think that is something that I could personally take from this, which is to definitely watch my students and how they act and how they're being treated, because some of these students are falling through the cracks. They are being forgotten, and I feel that I want my students to all be present. Although I know that I can't save them all, I would want to try. Also, I think that I could grow in the ways of activities, because I've learned that with time restraints that learning activities are hard to put into your curriculum. And I would want to be able to make time for those activities and for my students to be able to have hands-on experience in their learning. So, with all of that, it's done nothing but confirm my career choice. Middle school students are it. This is where they're getting prepared to go into their high school years. They're getting prepared to get harder studying. They're they're going to struggle in high school if they leave middle school with low literacy skills, low math skills, and they won't make it very far without those. And so, being a math and English teacher for middle school students, that is just something that is going to be my passion, or it is my passion. And I think that this career is exactly where I need to be. There is one thing that did make me rethink the career though, because Miss M, she told me that she did not want to teach middle school. She wanted to teach high school. And she told me why. And that's just because it fit her style better. And that made me think, what is my style? What is my style of teaching? What should I do when I become a teacher to make these kids feel like learning is what they want to do? And the learning activities, I think that is the key. I think the hands on learning is how I'm going to want to teach. So it made me really think about how I wanted to do it, and if I wanted to teach middle school or if I wanted to teach high school. But middle school is definitely where I want to be.